Hi, here to show you how to make a boat. Everybody should have gotten some parts. You got some nails and some sandpaper and a smokestack and a flagpole dowel and a bit of fabric and the 2x4, that's the house of the boat, and then the boat part. So first thing that we do, and when we're making these at school, the children do a lot of the sawing. So if you do make another one, feel free to, if you're confident about it, teach your children to use a saw and do it together with them. But we were lucky enough to have Mr. Shuhan cut all these parts for us, and so we can get right to sanding. So you got some sandpaper, and you'll notice that the sandpaper is two different grades. So you start with the rougher one first, and we want to get all the edges all the way around, and the flat sides, and then the other edges, and then this part and this part. It takes a long time to sand this whole thing. Likely it will take many days, because to get all these shaggy parts off, it's a lot of work. Also, there might be some pencil marks that Mr. Shuhan left, so those can get sanded away. And also the very tip. And the smoother it is, the more beautifully your boat will glide through the water. So the sanding part will take you probably a couple of days. And it isn't just this part that gets sanded. This part gets sanded too. The cabin of the boat has a lot of shaggy, look, mine has this big gouge here, so it would take me a long time to sand all that until everything is as smooth as can be, so that you don't get any splinters, and when the boat is in the water, it just glides along. And you can also sand the dowels, the two dowels, the flagpole and the smokestack. And because it takes so long, I'm not going to do that in the video, otherwise the video would be many days long. So we'll just make believe that I sanded all these bits and pieces. And I'm going to just take this apart a little bit. This is our flag. And this just comes out like that. This, I can't take this out because I hammered it in earlier, and it's in there so well that it's not coming out. So once it's all sanded, you'll notice that, well, don't look at these holes because you don't have those holes, but you do have these 4 pre-drilled holes. Mr. Shuhan did that for us. And also a little outline maybe of just the corners or the whole thing. That is where, those are guidelines to where your cabin goes. And the smokestack in the cabin goes in the middle, and the flagpole goes on the end. Once you have it lined up just right, you're going to set it down on the cabin part. And of course, your cabin won't have the smokestack. Mine does, because, well, I'm not going to go into that, but yours won't. So I'm going to tip this down so we can see what's doing. Once I get it all lined up, I'm going to turn it over, set it on the cabin, and make sure that it's lined up. And then I'm going to hammer my nail in. And children can do this. You just have to start it for them. So I usually give it a couple of taps so it's nice and sturdy in there and doesn't tip one way or the other. Oh, that's Otis back there. That's Otis, my dog. Come here, buddy. Come and say hi. We have 4 of those holes. This will be tricky for me because I have that smokestack, which isn't going to be a problem for you because you should not have that smokestack while you're doing this. Okay. 3, 4. Again, you can tap it in like that, and then your child can finish it. They love to hammer things. One of my favorite toys in our yard, we used to have a great big stump, and we would have a big box of large-headed nails. So I don't know what those nails are called, but bigger heads than this. And the children would just hammer nails in. They love to do that. It's a wonderful exercise. So once you get this on, you can set your smokestack in, and you can use the side of your hammer to tap it in like that, or a mallet if you have one. And the next thing you can do, you should have some extra nails. So I like to tap some nails in around the edge, kind of a guardrail. And again, this is something children can do. You want the nails to be in just, make sure they don't come out the other side, but sturdy enough that they don't slide out. And it's completely random how many nails you put in. If you have more nails, you can put more in. If you have less nails, you can put less in. You can see that I'm not a super exact. I really think for the children, it's the process that's important. It's lovely when it comes out perfect, but perfection is certainly not the goal. Anyway, does anything ever come out perfect? I don't think so. Once you get all the guardrails in, you can take a bit of string, any kind of string, or even yarn, or some thread, and I'm just gonna tie that around there with a double knot. Then I'm going to go around. I'm going to wind that around twice. And this makes for a super cool guardrail around the edge of the boat. I suppose you could even put in 2 rows of this, and 3 rows. And when you get to the end, slip it, untie it. Double knot again. Oops. Okay. And now I'm going to just, if you want to close the back from one end, you could do that, but I just left it open. Okay. Now I'm going to put my flagpole in. Mr. Shuhan made those holes on an angle, and because this is such a tempting thing to hold the boat on, these break often or fly out of here. I would put a little bit of wood glue down in the bottom and then get it nice and tight in there. So the next thing is, is the sail. So my sail is already sewn, but you should have a piece of fabric like this that you chose for a sail that I ironed into a triangle for you. And it's just simply the whip stitch, which I will show you. Where are my glasses? Here they are. So you're going to start at the top and you're going to sew down to the bottom and then stop. You want to be sure that we leave a little space for the flagpole. And after we sew down here and stop, we'll tie off a knot and then you'll start sewing again from here down. So I'll show you the whip stitch very quickly. I'm not going to sew the whole length. So the whip stitch is when you just go around and around and around and around and around. The needle goes up and the needle goes up and the needle goes up and the needle. So for 6-year-olds, I do try to insist that they push up. But for children that are younger than 6, you can encourage them, but however they sew, so long as it's kind of in a straight line, I think that's just fine. And again, you'll sew down to here, and then I would put the flagpole in and press it here. Maybe make a mark with a pencil. Pull that out and then start sewing right at the pencil mark till you get to the end. Make a knot and snip it. And you should have your flag. Then you can set that flag on, you can see that. You can set your flag on and slide it down. And you can glue it on. Just put a little bit of glue on there. I have to push this down. So if you put a little bit of glue on here, not a lot, just a little bit is needed. You can slide that down. And another thing you can do is put a few stitches right there, nice and tight. Or you could do both. And voila. There's our boat, ready for sailing in your local creek or your bathtub, stream or a lake or a pond. Have fun.